Hello. Tonight we're going to focus on the spring equinox. I'll be doing a meditation in just a short while, but I wanted to share some thoughts about spring and the wood element and some theory from Chinese medicine that I think is very lovely to look at. So in Chinese medicine, we know that they were very focused on the cycles of nature and to observe what was going on in nature and to relate that to humans and animals, etc. So I really love looking at the seasons and the elements from Chinese medicine. So in spring, it is the wood element. And I just wanted to share, there's a beautiful book that so many of us at Soul Lightning Acupressure use. It's called Characters of Wisdom, written by Deborah Katz, who's an acupuncturist who studied Soul Lightning Acupressure and loves our work. So what she says about the wood element in spring. Spring is an expression of new life and hope. We put away the winter clothes, warm ourselves in the sunshine, and think about plans for the coming year. When we feel the hope and vision of spring inside of us, then the world all around us becomes fresh and magical. We become like a child hungry for all that we can reach and explore. So when we do the new moon meditations, it's about new beginnings for a shorter cycle. When we're talking about the seasons, it's a longer cycle. And so with Chinese medicine and spring and the wood element, there are two meridians that relate to it. One of the meridians is the liver meridian. And what Deborah Katz says about that is, the liver has the ability to reflect and consider all circumstances. It then goes ahead with the plan of life, leading everything and everything else to achieve its goal without getting blocked or obstructed. When this vision and push forward is out of balance, there can be over-planning and no planning at all. All sense of direction is lost, and hopelessness may be the result when it's out of balance. When this vision is clear and fresh like the warm spring sunshine, then goals can be achieved with great dynamic energy and fresh insight. It is the liver who holds the master blueprint of our lives, directing us with its fine essences to become who we are, whatever circumstances bring. And the other meridian that's connected to the wood element in spring is the gallbladder. The gallbladder is responsible for hundreds of decisions that direct every activity in the body. It does this with flexibility, direction, a sense of purpose, and strength. As a plant grows, it may have times when its roots hit a rock and have to change direction, or if the soil is dry because there hasn't been rain, it may have to wait until the rain comes again to grow more. It is this ability to move forward no matter what circumstances bring that is the work of the gallbladder. It is the gallbladder that puts the vision and plans of the liver into action with clear judgment and decisions. This gives us a sense of hope, purpose, and growth. It ensures we start each day with new optimism and new plans for our lives. And so we can reflect on how the energy of the liver meridian and the gallbladder meridians express themselves in our lives, and also the wood element in spring. And so wood is often considered the visionary. It also relates to the emotion of anger. And anger is a very positive energy if it's constructive. If it gets out of hand, sometimes it's not so positive. So oftentimes we can work towards transforming anger into insight. And frustration is another thing that can be connected to the wood element. And so as we balance out and come into harmony, our frustration can turn into patience. And so I always think it's lovely to be able to reflect on how the Chinese came up with these different ideas. So as we do a meditation tonight, our intention is to inspire people to be compassionate to themselves and to others. And so when we gather together as a group, our energy is actually much greater than if each of us were really meditating by ourselves. So it's lovely to see that people are joining at this time. For those that watch later, just have the thought and intention that we are all together in a group. So I invite you to find a very comfortable place to be while we meditate. It'll probably be about 20 minutes, so it won't be real long. And so gently close your eyes. And take a few deep, slow breaths, perhaps imagining that each time that you breathe in, that you're bringing in relaxation with your breath. And you can send that relaxing breath after relaxing breath throughout your body, allowing your entire body to begin to relax more and more deeply, and just letting go of any tension, any stress, any discomfort, even any resistance to deep relaxation. And so just focus on your breathing for a short while. And begin to notice that by focusing on the breathing and taking deep, full breaths in and exhaling as completely as possible, that your body begins to relax more and more deeply. So I invite you to imagine that you're walking in a meadow in springtime or even early summer. And so we're going to explore this beautiful meadow, that as we walk in the meadow, the energy is so beautiful here that it actually creates a healing space for each of us. So if there's anything this evening that you feel that you need to open to healing at any level, the physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, I invite you to just hold that intention for yourself. And so as we begin to walk in the meadow, notice how it feels to be walking on the grass in the meadow. It's early in the season, so it's not very high, but it's very thick. And as you take each step, you might begin to notice that it's almost like walking on a very thick carpet. Just so nicely cushioned. And as you continue to walk slowly, I invite you to imagine just your perfect day for this walk in the meadow. Just the right amount of sunshine and breeze or calm, and just the right temperature for you. Just create your perfect space. And as you look down at the grass, notice how green it is. It's just so beautifully green. And you might even notice that it seems very alive. It's almost like you can sense in some way the energy of earth flowing up through each blade of grass. It's really wakening up and really growing. The sunshine is so nice and warm on it, but just right. And then begin to look around in the meadow. Notice that there are flowers and other plants. And notice all the different colors that are around you in the meadow. It's very beautiful. And you might even notice a pleasing fragrance from the flowers or other vegetation as you walk in the meadow. And you might see a butterfly or two in the meadow. I know butterflies usually happen later in the season, but this is a magical meadow, so we can have butterflies now. And so if you see a butterfly resting on a plant, notice its wings, how delicate they look. And if you see another one flying about, just notice how graceful it is. Such beautiful, beautiful butterflies. And you might hear some birds singing, and just notice what their song sounds like. And you just continue to slowly walk in the garden, just exploring and enjoying being here in nature after the long winter. And then you begin to notice just a little ways ahead that there's a small stream of water that's kind of meandering through one area of the meadow. And so walk towards that stream. And it doesn't take very long, and you're standing right there by the stream. And it's not very wide. And as you look down into the water, it's not very deep. And if you like, you can even dip your fingertips into the water and feel the wetness and the coolness of the water. Just taking all of this experience in, allowing it to be very real for you. And as you look down into the stream, you realize the water is crystal clear, that you can see right down to the bottom of the stream, which is kind of sandy with a few pebbles here and there. And you might even see a small fish or two swim by. And if you look downstream, you might notice a large rock that's in the stream. It's large enough so part of it is protruding above the surface of the water. And as you watch the water flow towards that rock, you might notice that it just very freely flows towards it and moves around it and continues on its way. Doesn't seem to see the rock as a difficulty or something that's obstructing it. It's just accepting it as part of life, part of its flow forward. And so if you've not already imagined that you're sitting down or lying down by the stream, I invite you to do that now. Imagine that you have a blanket to put on the ground, or perhaps a lawn chair, whatever feels comfortable to you. And just sit or lie down and get comfortable there. And so I invite each of you to go within for a moment and see if there's anything you'd like to release and let go of at this time. That when we think about manifesting and planting seeds in the future, it's always good to see, are we holding on to something that if we let it go, that we would be able to move forward more easily. And letting go is a process. And so see if there's something that you feel ready to begin the process of letting it go. It could be something that you just know it's time to let it go, or it could be something that you know is holding you back from being all that you could be. Or it could even be a good idea that you've decided not to act on. And so just find what that is that you'd like to release and let go of. And once you decide, I invite you to think of something that would represent it. It could be a word or a phrase, a symbol, an image, whatever comes to you. So just find something that would represent it. And then I invite you to notice that there's a smooth, flat, kind of thin rock on the ground next to you. Something that you could easily pick up and hold on your lap. And also you'll find either some watercolor markers or water-soluble markers or watercolor paint, something like that. And so I invite you to begin to either write that word or phrase or draw that symbol or image onto the surface of the rock. And if it's something more complex, just see it flow easily onto the rock. And as you do that, become ready to begin that process of releasing and letting go. And see if anything's holding you back from doing that. And so acknowledge that that's part of the process to understand any resistance. And so when you feel ready to begin that process of releasing and letting go, I invite you to take that rock and hold it beneath the surface of the stream so the water can wash over it and wash it clean. And once it's been washed clean, you could either let it settle down on the bottom of the stream, or you can take it out of the stream and put it back on the grass. Whatever feels right to you. And now that you've released and let that go, began that process, I invite you to connect with a stream of higher energies. You could think of it as your higher self, your divine soul, the divine, whatever feels right to you. And once you have that sense of a connection, I invite you to ask those higher energies and beings to inspire you as far as what is your next step on your spiritual path out in the world, however it is you want to see that. But just become open to inspiration. And when you want inspiration to come in, it seems to come in just pieces or parts. And so you may just get a glimpse of something or have an idea about it. And then you'll need to, either in meditation or contemplation or journaling or some other reflective way, you may need to explore it further. But right now we're just looking for the seed of what you want to plant. And now I invite you to imagine, what will the seed of this look like? You could have it look like an actual seed, or you could imagine something else. And so just allow your creativity to provide you with the image of the seed that represents this new project, this new part of your life. And once you have that, imagine that you're holding it in your hands. And that you are putting wings on whatever that is. Because if we want something to be created, we need to let it go to gather what it needs so that it can create what we are choosing. And so imagine wings on that seed. And as you feel ready to commit yourself to whatever this is, then allow it to fly away. And in your heart, trust that it is gathering everything that's needed for it to begin to manifest. And as that's happening, just be open to whatever inspiration or insight or awarenesses that you have, where there are certain steps that you need to take. And so just let it unfold. Everything has its own timing. Just like when we talked about the cycles of the moon over a period of a month, from the new moon to the full moon. And when we think about the cycles or the seasons of the year, from spring all the way to winter again, everything has its cycles. And so some projects might just take a few weeks or a few months, and others could take much, much longer. And so when we are really sure in our hearts that we want to manifest what we're putting out there, then we become willing to stay with it. It's like we talked about with the wood element, where if it's not in balance, there can be frustration. But when you're in balance, you have patience. And even about the emotion of anger, that when we're in balance, anger can flow into insight. And so we want to find that harmony and balance that we need. And so I invite you to reflect on the harmony and balance that's needed in your life day to day, and to focus within your heart so that you can find those energies there. And the heart center is the center of our chakra system. It's where we can find not only harmony and balance, but compassion. That compassion that we want to inspire so that people are compassionate to themselves and to others. We'll find it there. And as we find the compassion within ourselves, we can begin to share that energy out into the world so more and more people are able to experience it. And as we do that, we can begin to sense that we are all one, truly. That when we are able to look past the physical form and really look deeply into each person, each animal, the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, within all forms, we can find that beautiful consciousness and spirit of the divine. And we all have that within us. And so now we're coming towards the close of the meditation. And so I invite you to imagine that you're standing up and walking back across the meadow away from the stream. And as you do that, you're beginning to come back fully and completely to your waking reality, having the intention of grounding to the pure earth energies, and to also keep with you all that you experienced in this meditation and all the insights and awarenesses. And know that spring is such a beautiful time for planting those seeds that we want to develop into beautiful flowers and so many other things, and also those projects that we care about. And so now I invite you to begin to open your eyes, and perhaps you want to take some deep clearing breaths. And just come back fully and completely. And so I want to thank each of you that you've been here with us live. I'm also going to post this on my timeline so that others can watch it, or if you want to do it again at another time. And if you have other people that you'd like to share this with once it's on my timeline, feel free to go ahead and share it with them. And I'll also still be doing full moon and new moon meditations from time to time. And the couple of general meditations that I did recently, those are now on YouTube also. So if you want to visit my website, reikiwisconsin.com, you'll find links to the YouTube meditations. And so I thank you for joining, and have a lovely rest of the evening. Bye-bye.